It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Allie Wilson, who is an Assistant Sports Information Director. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to work in college athletics as a sports information director?
So I grew up around sports the majority of my life. My mom was a college coach. And so from day one, I was on a basketball court. And since then, I've played almost every sport you probably can think of. And ultimately, my sports career was put to an end with contact sports my freshman year of high school, and I turned to golf, and that's became my passion. And so now my goal in life is to create that passion for everyone else and to continue to grow my professional background with sports.
As a sports information director, what sports do you focus on?
My main focus is with the very small institution that I'm a part of right now. I focus on basketball, volleyball, soccer, and baseball.
As a sports information director, what are some of your day-to-day roles and responsibilities at LinkedIn?
This is definitely a job that you have to be available and have the ability to work off your feet, because never are you going to have the same day. I go for day-to-day, you do game day coverage, watch games, communicate with different sports information directors in the field, always learning. And then we also do a lot of recaps and interviews with our athletes as well.
How has COVID affected sports as a sports information director?
So with the type of school that I am working for, normally it's one sport a season or two, depending if we have male and female. So now this spring has definitely catapulted for a very busy spring. January and February, we finished up our men's and women's basketball seasons. Volleyball is about to just get started this weekend with many games, and baseball started yesterday for a full season. And we also have a mix of some soccer games coming up to finish off a fall and spring season since they weren't able to compete all at once. Not having fans is a big part of the COVID. And when you have a buzzer beater game-winning shot, you just wish you could have all the fans there to embrace it. So that's the one thing I miss most with all this COVID going on.
Can you talk about, of course, the challenges of like if your school gets COVID or the other school gets COVID, on what you have to worry about whenever it comes to cancellations or postponements?
So with COVID, there's always cancellations and postponements. In the fall, we had to completely suspend play in December because of cases within the county. And so we're regulated by what the county and our state currently abides by. So now we're able to have outdoor fans. Indoor, we still cannot because of the number. If a team gets COVID, then it's a complete cancellation. We do contact tracing, as well as all of our athletes do get tested weekly to try to stop that as much as we can. We wear masks and distance when possible.
Can you talk about serving as a liaison for coaches and athletes?
It's a difficult role sometimes. You have to know everyone very well and be very personable, and you have to know as much information as you can for the coach and about the game and your student athletes moving forward, and being able to answer as many questions as you can when something does arise, because problems arise all the time.
What is the protocols for if a member of the media wants to do an interview with a coach or a player?
So generally it would work through my office and through our head SID's office, but with the kind of school that we are at Lincoln Christian, you normally can go straight to that coach and they should be able to give you the yes or no. And same with our student athletes. A lot of our student athletes are more than willing to talk to individuals and be part of the media as well.
What are some of the challenges that you have faced as a sports information director?
Being able to learn sports you don't know. starting volleyball this week. I've played volleyball and been around it, but doing the sports information side of a sport is just always a little more challenging because you have to know everything and be able to call things on your toes as well. So I've had to learn a lot with statistics, but otherwise just getting my foot in the door everywhere I can is the biggest part of my sports career thus far.
During the interview with a coach or a player, can you talk about, of course, what they are allowed and not allowed to talk about during the interview?
For the most part, they're totally able to talk about anything that is not within institutional policies that have to be directly kept inside the institution. Otherwise, normally it's free game to ask any kind of questions you would like.
Whenever it comes to recruitment, what are the rules about recruitment as a sports information director?
I normally don't have to do much recruitment, and neither does our head SID for player-wise. I mean, otherwise, we just do our role, and when students are recruited by coaches, we do our part. And I know through the recruiting process for an NAIA school, we do posts on Twitter and Facebook as we get recruitment commitments to spotlight them.
If a coach comes on, can you talk about, of course, what he's allowed to talk about whenever it comes to recruitment?
They can probably give you a little bit of information, but sometimes I know coaches do try to stay pretty private with their recruitment just to not give away too much for another school as well.
What are some of your future plans as an assistant SID?
So right now my goals really are to move up, and I do hope to become a director one day and be my own boss for it at a bigger institution. My goal, fingers crossed, would be to be at a Division I school, being able to cover as much sports as possible and really just keep loving what I'm doing, being involved with as many sports.
What advice would you give upcoming future sports information directors looking to get started?
Never give up an opportunity. You really never know what opportunity is going to come when you say yes or no, and you don't want to turn down an opportunity that could have given you the greatest lifetime opportunity ever.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Really, you can find me anywhere. You can find me on LinkedIn and Twitter are my two most common, but also Instagram as well.
Thank you again, Allie, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as a sports information director.
Thank you for having me.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brand, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Allie, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.